This month on Focus Black Oklahoma, join us as we discuss the pending legal battle between the U.S. Justice Department and the state of Oklahoma over a recently passed immigration bill.
Experience how Tulsans Catherine Penny Mitchell and Deborah J. Hunter are transforming the Tulsa art scene post-retirement.
Learn how workplace policies can help reduce the stigma around menstruation.
Discover Beyond the Ball and how the organization is preparing athletes for life after sports.
Hear about the Legacy Open Rodeo in Purcell and its one-of-a-kind producer.
Revisit home economics with Sandra Slade's story of how she deflated her children's hopes with a lesson on inflation. All of this and more on Focus Black Oklahoma. But first, this news from NPR.
Focus Black Oklahoma is sponsored by Phillips Seminary's exhibition of Something New, Blackbirds 2121 by Halim Flowers, featuring 21 original works through July 14th on its Tulsa campus. WhereFaithLeads.com.
In May, Governor Kevin Stitt signed House Bill 4156, the controversial immigration legislation, into state law. The United States Justice Department reacted quickly by keeping its promise to file a lawsuit deeming the measure unconstitutional under the Supremacy Clause. Proponents and opponents agree the law will drastically change the landscape of immigration in Oklahoma. As Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond prepares to defend House Bill 4156 in federal court and the federal government prepares to react days later in the same court, Shonda Little brings us statements from those fighting on both sides.
After the United States Justice Department filed a lawsuit in federal court on May 21st to challenge Oklahoma's new immigration law, House Bill 4156, the Department of Justice, or DOJ, wrote in a press release that the law is unconstitutional under the Supremacy Clause. On June 13th, Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond took his first steps in court to defend the law. Attorneys for the DOJ will return to court on June 18th to respond to the state. While it is not yet known how the judge will find on the arguments made by both the proponents of HB 4156 and the opponents who find it unconstitutional, both sides vow to continue the battle. In a press release from the DOJ when its 17-page lawsuit was filed, the federal government's top law enforcement agency said, quote, "The Constitution assigns the federal government authority to regulate immigration and manage our international borders. Pursuant to this authority, Congress has established a comprehensive immigration framework governing non-citizens' entry, re-entry, and presence," end quote. Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General Brian M. Boynton said, quote, "Oklahoma cannot disregard the U.S. Constitution," end quote. The DOJ had publicly stated its opposition to HB 4156 prior to filing the lawsuit. Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond wrote in a May 17th letter on possible actions from the DOJ, quote, "One thing that has been glaringly clear over the last 3.5 years is that the Biden administration is only committed to subverting immigration laws of this country. Your misguided demands ignore that Oklahoma has not only the sovereign right, but also the solemn legal obligation to protect its own borders and its own citizens," end quote. HB 4156 was written by Senate President Pro Temp Greg Treat and House Speaker Charles McCall. The new law gives Oklahoma the authority to charge criminal misdemeanors to anyone who enters and remains in Oklahoma without permission from the United States government. If found guilty, those non-citizens could face up to a year in county jail and a $500 fine for the first offense. After convicted non-citizens have served their penalty of incarceration, the law then would require them to leave the state of Oklahoma within 72 hours. HB 4156 also creates a felony charge for those with second and subsequent offenses for non-citizens who enter Oklahoma without the federal government's permission or non-citizens who commit another crime while in Oklahoma. If found guilty of those counts, that person could face up to 2 years in prison and a $1,000 fine. While HB 4156 had multiple Republican co-authors and passed broadly on partisan lines, it is not without its critics. While supporters, such as author Speaker McCall, say the new law will help law enforcement address crime, such as human trafficking, others say it may create more problems than it solves. A statement from the Oklahoma Association of Chiefs of Police and Metro Law Enforcement Agency reads in part, quote, House Bill 4156 was recently signed into law by Governor Stitt with an effective date of July 1st, 2024. Oklahoma law enforcement agencies are actively collaborating to ensure our response to this legislation is unified and our communities are informed about how it may impact them. While we acknowledge the importance of legislative efforts to enhance public safety, we have found that this law conflicts with many existing directives governing law enforcement practices throughout Oklahoma. Law enforcement leaders from state organizations and municipalities were not substantively involved during the process of drafting and signing HB 4156 into law. This bill places crime victims at risk by increasing the fear of reporting to law enforcement. Further, HB 4156 brings forth legal challenges in fair and impartial policing and anti-racial profiling. These unintended consequences may deteriorate public trust in law enforcement in already vulnerable communities, ultimately resulting in increased public safety concerns. We recognize the many immigrant communities within our state who are fearful and uncertain about their futures. This law has the potential to destroy the connections and relationships we have built within our local immigrant communities and set us back for many years to come. We are committed to maintaining trust and communication between law enforcement and all immigrant communities as we navigate the future. It is imperative we work collaboratively towards solutions that prioritize public safety while upholding the rights of all members of our communities. We will continue to work with our respective legal advisors and community stakeholders to ensure our service is both lawful and consistent with community expectations that respects all we serve. End quote.
I am Representative Annie Mins. I represent East Norman and House District 45.
Mint says the problems with HB 4156 are too varied to list fully and worries about unintended consequences.
It's vaguely worded. It was drawing a lot of opposition from not only the immigrant community, but also law enforcement and the business community as well. So the vagueness of the language of the bill is problematic because it doesn't really give law enforcement specific direction on how to enforce it. And it can potentially be very costly whenever we think in terms of workforce. The immigrant community in Oklahoma contributes in many ways to the state's economy, whether that's through income taxes, property taxes, labor. And we have an enormous immigrant labor force here. Everyone in the state has been touched by immigrant labor one way or another.
Like Mintz, Christian Zapata is a member of the Latino and Hispanic community in Oklahoma. Zapata is president of the Oklahoma City League of Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, a 20-year-old civil rights organization. Through his social justice work, he says he now sees his friends and neighbors living in fear of what life might become should HB 5146 actually take effect.
What I see that the community is feeling is fear. This bill is fueling racial profiling. It'll create community divisions. It'll leave our youth scared and traumatized for fear of being separated from their family. and it deters victims of human trafficking and domestic violence from seeking help. Our community is being set back from this because of this bill greatly, and it's going to take a lot of work to get back to where we were.
HB 4156 is set to take effect on July 1st. However, like a similar Texas bill, the courts may stall its enactment while judges decide its constitutional merit. For Focus, Black Oklahoma, I'm Shonda Little in Cheyenne. For Focus Black Oklahoma, I'm Shonda Little in Cheyenne.
In workplaces across the nation, many women quietly struggle with menstrual health issues that affect their well-being and productivity. Despite the impact of menstrual pain and the stigma that often surrounds it, necessary support and facilities like private restrooms and free sanitary products are often lacking. This gap highlights the urgent need to destigmatize menstruation and adopt more inclusive workplace policies. Zaakirah Muhammed has the story.
The topics of menstrual hygiene and menstrual health are pivotal, such as aspects like the inaccessibility of menstrual products. Addressing a menstrual health stigma in the workplace is often ignored by bosses and legislators and impacts women across various industries, influencing their well-being, productivity, and overall job satisfaction. Recent studies highlight the pressing need to address menstrual health in the workplace. A survey conducted in 2021 by the University of Virginia revealed that 45% of women feel that menstrual pain has negatively impacted their productivity at work. Yet, 58% of them feel uncomfortable discussing menstrual health-related issues with their employers. Additionally, an alarming 33% of women have cited a lack of adequate menstrual hygiene facilities at their workplace, such as private restrooms and access to sanitary products. These statistics underscore the urgency of fostering a more inclusive and supportive work environment for individuals experiencing menstruation. Irissa Baxter-Looper, the Post-Secondary Initiatives Manager at Take Control Initiative, emphasizes the financial impact on individuals and shares insights on the affordability of menstrual products.
Price can be a huge factor. I really think that the least expensive menstrual products are sometimes often the ones that aren't the best. They can break easily. Linings can come out of pads. I've certainly had that happen before. And it makes me less comfortable going out into the world and interacting with people.
Baxter-Looper stresses the repercussions of using substandard products due to cost constraints, such as discomfort and health risks.
And what can happen too is, say I can't afford a menstrual pad or tampon, I use something else that's less hygienic, and then I'm exposing myself to a risk of getting an infection or just in general exposing myself to bacteria that I don't need to be exposed to.
Economic factors play a significant role in the barriers intertwined with the stigma surrounding menstruation. Baxter-Looper highlight disparities in tax policy, with Oklahoma being one of the states that still taxes menstrual products. She reiterates the importance of recognizing these products as essential necessities.
Oklahoma is one of 21 states that still taxes tampons and pads. So a lot of states, more than half, are moving away from taxing these items so heavily. They're also not covered by like food stamps. It's not treated as a necessity in an individual's life, just as much as like a toothbrush or deodorant, these vital things that are really important to us. And so I think that that's really important to keep in mind.
In efforts to destigmatize menstruation, Baxter-Looper advocates for normalizing conversation and providing free menstrual products. By normalizing discussion and making products easily accessible, individuals can better understand their bodies and seek timely medical assistance if needed. Take Control Initiative provides menstrual care products in their offices and bathrooms. Baxter-Looper shares initiatives at her workplace, emphasizing the importance of inclusive language and free product distribution.
I think normalizing is really key. So we have even just like, because my workplace is so reproductive focused, we have like punny things that have to do with like, I'm ovary reacting, right? Like just cheesy language stuff that's really silly, but it takes some of the seriousness off of the situation. We don't have to be intimidated by talking about bodies. We don't have to like be very proper, very professional, because not only is it normalizing and making it more comfortable for people to just have their experiences, but it's really important to normalize it, because what if the symptoms that you're having aren't normal? But if you aren't talking about it, if you don't know what's normal, what isn't normal, you're not going to realize when something bad like that might be going on.
Take Control Initiative furnishes vending machines at the University of Tulsa and Tulsa Community College that offer free menstrual products along with other health essentials. Dr. Luper explains.
They're sexual health vending machines, but both of them have pads and tampons in them. They're 100% free, so anybody can walk up and get them from this vending machine.
By creating a supportive environment and normalizing discussions, institutions can contribute to breaking the stigma surrounding menstruation.
It is so easy to forget a pad. Like, I'm constantly like, oh no, like I need one right now and it's too late and I'm at my office. And so should I leave my office, go somewhere, find parking, go purchase something, then go back to work? It would be so much more accessible, so much easier if we just had these free products in bathrooms.
To foster inclusivity in schools and workplaces, Dr. Luper recommends using inclusive language and providing programs to contribute to society at large.
I think language is a huge way that we can sort of signal our inclusion and tell people that we really care and that we really see them. And there are tons of period pantries that do volunteer programs. So even like hosting a volunteer afternoon for your work, packing, free menstrual products to give out to the community.
Dr. Luper then recommended other organizations in order to learn more information about ending menstrual health stigma.
So I would definitely recommend, if you aren't already, following our sister organization, Metriarch, METRIACH, which does track the legislative aspects of it. Yeah, I will definitely shout out Period OKC and the Tulsa Period Pantry, just if you're looking for ways to get active, or if you want to say, again, volunteer opportunities. Those are really great organizations that you can both fundraise for, you can donate products, or you could just go out and help them someday when they're doing volunteer programs out in the community.
Cassie Celestine, a former teacher at Dove Academy in Tulsa, is dedicated to eradicating period poverty through the Tulsa Period Pantry initiative. It all started with a social media post from a fellow teacher in need of period products for her students. Unable to find resources locally or online, she took matters into her own hand by initiating a small drive that quickly gained momentum. Celestine then dived headfirst into the issue of period poverty, which resonated with her deeply.
And so I did a small drive with friends and family and just wanted to support the two schools. And it really started growing naturally from there. I created a Facebook group just to let people know what we were doing with the products, got the two pantries started at the schools. And from there, more teachers and more people were just saying, hey, I pay for these period products for my students. Can we get a period pantry at my school? And so in that research that I was doing, I started to learn a lot about period poverty of that 1 in 4 girls in the U.S. miss school due to not having period products. And so that just hit home really hard to me. I grew up in a poverty situation. It was before I was menstruating, but we were in a situation where we didn't have toilet paper sometimes. And so I just thought about how I felt when that happened to me, and knowing girls are having that same experience and that same feeling month over month because they don't have access to period products.
Celestine then shared ways her efforts extend beyond providing product to over 50 schools in Tulsa by providing a 2-hour educational program called Growing Gracefully, designed to empower young girls and their caregivers with knowledge about puberty, menstruation, and growing up confidently.
What we're finding is when we go out and talk to parents, the things that are coming up is the stigma around periods of how do I talk about it without giving my child too much information. So oftentimes they don't know how to talk about menstruation without talking about sex.
Celestine recommends Period Movement to combat period poverty and learn more about menstrual health. This nonprofit organization provides educational resources, advocates for those affected, and seek to bring about legislative change to address period poverty, aiming to make feminine health products more accessible and affordable. Halle Berry, actress and founder of Respin, a health and wellness company, recently added a section on perimenopause and menopause. According to the website, quote, menopause is an essential phase of life, a change that directly impacts a little over half of the world population. Her goal is to empower women to embrace this natural transition and become inspired by the eternal beauty that comes with it, end quote. On May 2nd, while advocating for the Advancing Menopause Care and Midlife Women's Health Act, a bipartisan Senate bill, Berry says,
"Here and be a part of this movement that's happening." So you guys might say, okay, why me? Why am I here? Well, first, I'm here because I'm standing up for myself. Because I know that when a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women. And all women go through menopause.
She adds that menopause does not just affect the reproductive system.
Happens, below our belly button, and that's where our issues are. That's not true. One of the most impactful issues that we're facing when we get to midlife is our brain health. Because we have estrogen receptors in every cell in our body, every organ in our body. And when we get to midlife and our estrogen levels start to drop, it affects every part of our body, not just our lady parts that people kind of want to write it off to. It affects every part of who we are, right? So it's really important.
Berry ends her speech with a call to action to women of all ages.
Not of the Senate, but I'm here with them, and we're going to stand together and we're going to fight to get this passed. And then I want every woman out there, in whatever state you're from, reach out to your senator, male or female, reach out to your senator and tell them what you need. Demand to be heard, because that's one way you stand up, like I'm standing up right here. You stand up in your own state and you demand that there's a change and that money is allocated for your health in midlife and beyond.
Lyric Manns, community engagement specialist at Tulsa's Amplify Youth Health Collective, discusses the challenges around access and affordability of menstruation products. Not everyone has easy access to these products, especially in marginalized communities. She shared the importance of starting conversations on menstruation and the creation of the Go With The Flow kits, providing resources catering to all menstruators' needs.
And so we work towards creating a resource that could be handed out at tabling and outreach opportunities and events. And so the menstruation kit really features different products and things that may be used during the cycle. And then they titled it Go With The Flow Kits. They wanted it to be very neutral, to be accepting for all menstruators. And so in those menstruation kits, they feature pads, tampons, a heating patch, cleansing wipes, hand sanitizer, and then we now have added a bilingual aspect to it for our menstruation handouts. So they are both in English and Spanish front and back, and they have detailed information on what to expect during the menstruation cycle.
Despite cost limitations, Amplify Youth Health Collective aimed to distribute kits to the Tulsa community and utilize grant funds for outreach initiatives aiming to provide valuable resources to individuals in need. Manns mentioned distributing kits to the Domestic Violence Intervention Services and Strong Tomorrow, a nonprofit for respecting and parenting students in the Tulsa community, as a result of their partner, Zaakirah for Periods. Zaakirah for Periods is a for-profit startup engaged in supporting women in the workplace. Apart from its corporate endeavors, it has a dedicated social impact arm aimed at contributing to community well-being. This dimension of the work at Amplify Youth Health Collective is evident through generous donations to support the initiatives of community partners.
We do have like a lot of different community partners that do try to support us in different resources that we put out in the community. Santa has been a gracious donator for that. And we actually donated, I think it was 300 kits. 150 went to one of our partners at Divis, and then the other 150 went to Strong Tomorrows. But outside of that, if anyone is interested in partnering with us to donate more resources, we'd absolutely love to work with anyone. We're always open to donations and collaborations in any way that we have. And so, yeah. And if they're interested in connecting with somebody to make that happen, I'd be the one to connect to. And they can always reach out to my email or visit us on site, and we can have a meeting and conversation in person.
Breaking the silence on menstrual health can lead to a more inclusive, empathetic, and empowering work environment for women's well-being. For ways that you can get involved and keep in touch with Amplify Tulsa, email info@amplifytulsa.org and follow Amplify Tulsa on Instagram and Facebook. Learn more from Take Control Initiative Oklahoma's social media channels by following them at IUDECIDE. For ways to get involved with Tulsa Period Pantry, visit their website at www.tulsaperiodpantry.org. For Focus, Black Oklahoma, I'm Zaakirah Muhammed in Tulsa.
Whether it's finding purpose, developing new skills, or giving back to the community that once cheered them on, Beyond the Ball is there to ensure that no athlete is left behind, reminding them that the game may have ended, but their journey has just begun. Anthony Cherry has more.
When the ball stops bouncing, the game of life does not end for Oklahoma's athletes. What resources are available for all levels of competitors when they are ready to conquer other aspects of their lives outside of sports? Aaron Lucas and his partner, Cameron Dunn, are former college basketball players with a passion for giving back to athletes in their community. Their nonprofit organization, Beyond the Ball, aims to connect athletes with a faith-based network of like-minded individuals dedicated to improving the lives of Oklahomans after their sports careers. The organization provides a supportive community and resources to help athletes transition into life after sports, focusing on personal growth, professional development, and community involvement.
I originally wanted to be an engineer. I started off in industrial engineering. Also, I was a college athlete, so juggling, engineering and basketball was, a struggle in itself, but it was amazing. And I got to my junior year in college and found out that my school wasn't accredited in engineering. And so from there, I had to make a little switch up.
That was Aaron Lucas, a Booker T. Washington High School graduate who played basketball at Southern Arkansas University, where he earned his business degree in marketing. Lucas's vision for his life revolved around shooting hoops.
I was literally planned on going overseas, so I am I was a college athlete, did very well in college, was an All-American, Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all of those great things. And my next steps for my life was to go overseas and play professional basketball. And through, devotion and, time spent with friends and family praying and all those things, I then transitioned into marketing, which was kind of crazy in itself because, I planned on going overseas and I didn't go overseas, and so I was stuck in the middle of what was my next.
Like many people committed to sports, his occupational aspirations remained limited to the idea of becoming a professional athlete for a majority of his career.
God actually gave me this vision for Beyond the Ball. I was actually, and I don't want to apologize for being spiritual, but this is just my story, but I was literally prophesied over so many times throughout this conference at Transformation Church called V2, where so many people spoke into my life and said, you're more than basketball.
Cameron Dunn is a high school basketball coach and a Tulsa math teacher who works side by side with Lucas, planning events to make Beyond the Ball a relevant institution.
what we did is we had the hoop session, but then before the hoop session, we did a panel. So we did a panel with the 5 of us former college athletes talking about our faith, talking about our experiences, in college basketball. And since then, we've done, a couple more events where we've had college athletes play pickup together, do training together, and then get in the word after it, right? And just bring those two worlds together. That's kind of the vision behind it, is just, not being one way here, one way there, but just flowing.
Beyond the Ball aims to impact athletes from the moment a kid first picks up a ball in order to foster academic, occupational, as well as athletic ambitions that will carry them throughout their entire career. Lucas expands on this idea.
We want to help partner them with people, professionals, mentors, to help them grow those gifts at the same rate that they're growing their basketball gifts. But then on top of that, we want to also help them develop in the gifts of basketball or sports in general. So whether that be hockey, baseball, football, whatever, track, we want to offer them training and partner them with mentors and professionals who have went to the levels that they're trying to succeed at, and help them just in life develop all the gifts that God has put inside of them, so that when they get to the point to where, the basketball has to stop, right? That they're not at a crossroads to be trying to figure out, okay, what else have I developed in my life?
Right.
Like that they have something else developed in the inside of them that will literally carry them on in life. And these are all things that God has gifted us with, right? And our gifts open doors and they make room for us to be in spaces and places.
Dunn envisions Beyond the Ball contributing to a cultural shift.
And as soon as that ended, their identity was so wrapped up in that they didn't know what to do next. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna start rapping. I'm gonna start rapping or fashion, to be honest, those are positive things. Most of the times it's negative things that they pick up, right? Because whatever culture is feeding them, right, that's drugs, right? That's sex, that's, all these different things. That's what they end up turning to. And we've seen it so many times. So getting kids a foundation early.
Mentorship, education, and community building are at the core of the mission of Beyond the Ball. Here's Lucas.
We will have someone in our program in our program that is an engineering professional. And actually, I can say these real names, as far as like the guy's name is Brandon. He's an engineer, black man. To connect him and allow him to shadow Brandon, ask him questions, ask him, the things that will encourage him to make it real for him. That I see, this black man in culture, and he's not playing basketball. He's not doing this, but he's actually doing something that is real.
As young people with a vision to build an institution dedicated to improving the lives of those around them, the work ahead of them is daunting. We hear more from Lucas.
And so with that, we're wanting to have a facility to be able to be our housing, to be our space where we create the environment to where when you come into the space that you feel the difference.
Beyond the Ball is a labor of love for Aaron Lucas and Cameron Dunn. Bringing community stakeholders together is something Lucas is passionate about.
And then also we need volunteers. We need people. Like, this is not just a two-man job. Like, this is for the teachers. This is for the engineers. This is for the marketing people. Like, this is for everyone to put their hand in and actually impact change. And so from a sense of not even financially, but like just the time and the space and the knowledge.
One of the keys to improving the everyday lives of Oklahomans is by supporting institutions built by Oklahomans, for Oklahomans, and managed by Oklahomans who are experts in their fields. Whether it's finding purpose, developing new skills, or giving back to the community that once cheered them on, Lucas and Dunn are dedicated to ensuring that no Oklahoma athlete is left behind, reminding them that the game may have ended, but their journey has just begun. For more information, contact Aaron Lucas and Cameron Dunn at 918-927-2498. For Focus, Black Oklahoma, I'm Anthony Cherry in Tulsa.
You're listening to Focus, Black Oklahoma.
Retirement usually signals a shift towards leisure, but for Catherine Penny Mitchell and Deborah J. Hunter, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in the Tulsa art scene. Mitchell now crafts stunning jewelry, including a permanent art installation at Vernon AME Church, and Hunter has embraced spoken word, collaborating across genres. Their bold reinvention inspires women reimagining their own retirements. Here's Francia Allen.
Retirement usually marks the end of someone's full-time career and the start of a life of leisurely pursuits and relaxation. But that's not the case for Catherine Penny Mitchell and Deborah J. Hunter, two self-taught artists courageously making a name for themselves in the Tulsa art community after retiring from their corporate jobs. Catherine retired from IBM after 20 years and Tulsa Community College after 10 years, where she taught as a professor. Since starting her small jewelry business in 2016, she has become a Greenwood Art Project commissioned artist with a permanent art installation called Greenwood, a Trilogy in Reflection at the historic Vernon AME Church. Her other art pieces reflecting her metalwork have been displayed at multiple Tulsa art exhibits. Deborah retired as a behavioral health case manager from Family and Children's Services. Although she has been a poet most of her life, after retiring, she decided to pursue her career in spoken word full-time. She has performed a one-woman show called Amazon's Gypsies and Wandering Minstrels, as well as collaborated with many other artists from multiple artistic genres. These two women chose to bet on themselves and reinvent their lives by becoming independent artists and entrepreneurs, which is not only daring, but also inspiring to other women of retirement age who might think it's too late to start something new. Catherine shares more about how her artistic journey started.
I knew I wanted to make jewelry when I retired from work. I'm the one who always says, you have to have something really fun to do when you retire or else you'll, So because of my work schedule, I never had time to take a jewelry making class until just a couple of months before I was actually retiring. And lo and behold, in the class, I discovered these dormant skills. I'll put it that way. And so actually, by the end of the class, I had started a small business. I was feeling very confident and I haven't stopped. I didn't realize I could put anything together. And initially, I started just making things for friends and see, how they liked it, how it looked. I'm into quality and nice materials. And so, when I first started, I was just ready to go. And friends would invite me to private parties to be a vendor, or I would do public vending, and I was a vendor for 3 or 4 years. Loved that. And I believe that helped not only establish my reputation, but also build the confidence that I have today.
Deborah talks about her poetry and the legendary artist who helped her develop her voice.
I'm a poet, and I'm also a teaching artist. I teach poetry as well as write and perform it. I started writing poetry when I was 9 or 10 years old, and got married, raised kids, and started writing again after I was divorced. Most of my poems are social justice themes. Which is why I didn't expect one to take off the way it did, because most of my other poetry was about women's issues, racial issues, homelessness, so most of my poems were, in that vein. So, and I think I mostly will describe myself as my poems as social justice based poetry. The one most requested and the one that people love the most is my poem called Jazz on a Diamond Needle Hi-Fi.
Deborah's influences include
poets like Maya Angelou and Nikki Giovanni and Amiri Baraka, there's just a list of them. Langston Hughes, because when I was in school, we got the safe Langston Hughes poems. And so when I was older and I was like, wait a minute, he was pretty radical. And I was like, yes, these people sound like me.
Catherine and Deborah's stories showed others that it's never too late to follow the creative desires of their heart. It may come with some rejections, but it also comes with some yeses and community support. Catherine and Deborah shared their experiences about pursuing opportunities. First, we hear from Catherine and then Deborah.
You're going to get some no's along the way because every application is not for you. So, yeah, I don't take it to heart anymore. I just accept it as part of the culture. And if you're not doing anything, you're not going to get a no or a yes. So I am a high achiever by nature. And so I'm going to keep putting myself out there. My jewelry is customized. It's all one of a kind, never duplicated. And so that brings me joy knowing that my client is going to have a piece of wearable art that is one of a kind, unique to the planet.
I always dreamt of having it as a career, but it has not always been something that I could do that would, financially support me. Once I let it be known that, hey, I'm here, I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere, and I need your help to help me get back out there, then people really started to embrace me, going, oh, yeah, of course. So that's been helpful, letting people know that this is what I want to do.
Catherine can be reached by her email address, mybeadsplease@gmail.com. You can also see samples of her work on her Instagram account, which is @beadsplease. Deborah can be reached at deborahjhunter@gmail.com and on Facebook as Deborah J. Hunter. To catch any upcoming events, go to these ladies' pages for dates and times. For Focus Black Oklahoma, I'm Francia Allen in Tulsa.
The Legacy Open Rodeo on June 29th will be produced by Oklahoma's only female rodeo producer. Tiffany Guess spoke with FBO's Jamie Glisson about how she got started in rodeo and what she hopes her legacy will be.
Shout out to Oklahoma Cowboys, Trade Pony Express, Riding Legacy. Woo! Thank y'all for coming out. Years. Let's get these line right. They call me bad, and I punish you. You ain't like people
On Saturday, June 29th, the Legacy Open Rodeo will take place in Purcell. Being the only female rodeo producer in the state, Tiffany Guess has a lot of history on her shoulders. Here she is reminiscing about her upbringing and how she got her start in the rodeo industry.
Basically, I have an agriculture background on both sides of my dad's family. My dad's mom, she's from the Little River area out there in New Lama, New Model, Wewoka area. They still have their original 40 acres that were given to them. We spent a lot of time down there in our summers as children. Basically, that's where we learned how to drive, where we learned how to ride horses, where we learned how to work the hay fields, and basically where I learned how to be a hard worker. I pretty much got started in rodeo after watching my brother compete in Pony Express, sitting in the bleachers in the stands. I don't know. It's just something about being in attendance at this event every weekend and not being involved. I just had to find my place. So around 2013, I think I started DJing. I just kept bugging Marcus Friday, the announcer, and telling him I want to play the music. Let me play the music. And he was just like, girl, gone. Marcus is a great influence. He's a great teacher. Once you start rubbing elbows with certain people trust you and they trust your talent. And so they just kind of start pulling you to the side hey, I need you. Marcus is busy this day. Could you come do this Pony Express blowout for me? And that's just how it just worked. all of the music directors / announcers just kind of let me work with them. And then Marcus saw that I was doing okay with them, and he also let me work with him. And from there, I just pretty much just took off. And then outside of doing the music and being involved in the announcing and commentating, I'm like, hey guys, I would like to really help produce the rodeo because I've been around it so much. And honestly, none of the guys, because it's always guys that throwing rodeos, right? None of the guys would let me join their team. So I was just like, don't worry about it. I'll just go ahead and throw my own, and here we are. I came up with the name, it's Legacy Open Rodeo. So legacy, because it's, in my eyes, a legacy that will live on past me. Hopefully, I hope to leave it. So this is my baby for now. And then it's open because I want everyone to be able to come. I don't want it to be like an invitational rodeo where I say only this certain type of person can come, because I'm not that type of girl.
While reflecting on the first rodeo she produced, Tiffany tears up at the thought of her grandmother, Georgetta Guess, always supporting her endeavors. In 2023, Georgetta, or Tot Tot as her family calls her, sponsored the first Legacy Rodeo and had a large banner with a picture of her making her famous fry bread.
My grandmother is a big inspiration to me. She really is like one of those grandmothers that's there at all of your milestones. And she was not able to make my first rodeo. So it was big for me to have her in the arena. I'm getting ready to cry. To have her there with me in some type of form or fashion. So
the support that the Black rodeo community in Oklahoma shares with each other is palpable.
August 9th and 10th, if you do not make any other rodeo, the 69th annual Roy LeBlanc Omugie Rodeo is one that you want to make at the Bob Arrington Arena in Omugie, Oklahoma, put on by the LeBlanc family. Is very exciting. It's full. I'm sure that both nights will be full this year. Like it's not one that you want to miss.
With the recent release of the album Cowboy Carter by Beyonce, a giant spotlight has been placed on the Black rodeo industry, especially here in Oklahoma. Here's Tiffany discussing this recent and more mainstream boom and excitement of her favorite rodeo events.
So the big boom in the Black rodeo community is exciting. I'm happy. I'm thankful for it because I have a lot of friends that live like here in Oklahoma City. They always heard about the rodeos. They see the rodeos on Facebook or whatever, like all the pictures that we post and the videos, but they never wanted to go. But this year, the Cowboys of Color here in Oklahoma City at the Jim Norick Arena, it was sold out. And I heard that was the biggest crowd that we've had in like 20 years. Bowie, the 121st rodeo, they said that was the biggest one ever. It took 121 years to make this big. I do think that the influence is coming from Beyonce, pop culture. I'm not mad at it though. I appreciate it. I just hope that it does not become a fad like many things do. I'm thankful for it, and I'm just hoping that this wave continues through the rest of the year because I'm seeing like rodeo producers are very happy and are coming out on top, which is something that we need in order to keep the rodeos running. My favorite event right now probably would be team roping because my little brother, he just started team roping. It's fun, it's quick, in and out of there, and it's kind of exciting watching him learn a new sport. My favorite, it's really more of an added attraction, is Pony Express, of course. It's very, exciting and thrilling and dangerous and just all the things.
Guess is always thankful for the support of her many friends, fans, and sponsors.
I would also like to just thank like my parents and my family for like supporting me through this whole journey. But like they really helped me out a lot. I really appreciate them. And also my sponsors, Impress Oklahoma. Like I couldn't have done it without you, as well as Tri-City, Focus Black Oklahoma. Like you've been on board since day one. I really appreciate you. Thank you. So to find information about the rodeo, you go to @TG Rodeo on Facebook or Instagram. And then also there are pre-sale tickets and group sale discounts available at ticketstorm.com. Just search Legacy Open Rodeo and it'll pop up.
As you can see, guys, this is the 8-man relay. That baton went from the first man, which was called the jump man, to this last man right here, the drop man. As soon as this man comes around to the money barrel, the money barrel's in the middle of the arena, and drops it, the race is over. They win.
For Focus, Black Oklahoma, I'm Jamie Glisson in Purcell.
Have you noticed the rising prices of everything these days? Sandra Slade shares her unique perspective on gas and egg prices that blends humor with the practical realities of managing a household budget and the subtle ways in which rising costs influence family life and decision making.
My mother and I were having a conversation about the rising cost of gas. My daughter was listening and asked me, "Mom, wasn't gas really cheap even a couple of years ago? I remember you complaining about it then." I told her, yes, I could do more errands going back and forth then than I can now. And my mom said when she was a teenager, it was 25 cents. I was like, wow, when we had $2, we could ride for miles and miles. Inflation is hitting us all. As gas prices keep rising, I keep thinking about the summer. The only place we would be able to cruise would be down Riverside and just look upon the Arkansas River and wish. I would need to make sure we had snacks so I wouldn't have to make a detour at a fast food spot or a Trader Joe's, because I couldn't do all those high prices either. Well, now I work from home and I don't have to worry about gas as much. My 10-mile radius for being mom Uber is something I relish. I mean, my credit union, barber, Oasis Fresh Market, Waffle That, and of course, the Snack Goat of Tulsa, Quick Trip, are just a few minutes in either direction. So if I need to make a run out, I'm covered. Now, real groceries, of course, I have to actually make a list. Recheck the cabinets because, the 16-year-old check, but I got to check again before I head out. When I go get gas at Sam's, I'm always amazed at how many people are there getting gas, and then, of course, going the wrong way. Who does that? I remember going to the grocery store with my dad. It was always fun. He mentally kept a list of what he was going to make that week and would stick to the list. Occasionally, he said a dish would be a surprise, which usually meant it turned out to be some type of dish with beans. I have no clue as to why it was with beans, but it was like he was on a mission to fix us every kind of bean there was in the world. Pinto, white, navy, brown, black-eyed peas, kidney, lima, black, northern beans. By the time I was off to college, I vowed never to eat another bean. During COVID, I was upset at first about having to order groceries online, but quickly grew to love it so that I didn't have to worry about germs, being in the store, and forgetting the list, or buying unneeded items on impulse. I didn't care for Instacart and those fees, so I opted for Walmart pickup, which in itself proved to be a lesson in patience. I didn't trust Michaela or Sarah at Walmart picking out my produce or meat, so I'd go in anyway. Well, one day, actually in-store shopping with my daughter, we had list in hand and were happily turning the corner in Aldi's. And she told me, "Oh yeah, almond milk and eggs." While I stopped to get the almond milk, she went in to get the eggs. She came back with them. As she gently put them in the top of the buggy, she said, "Oh yeah, these was $5.69 for a dozen." I said, "Whoa." I gently pushed them back to her and told her, "Not the special eggs. You know, the ones that are brown and cage-free." She said, "No, Mom, these are the regular eggs." I told her to go back and check again because I knew she couldn't have gotten it right. She reluctantly goes back and comes back happily and says, "No, these are the right eggs and they are $5.69 a dozen." I said, "Girl, go get the eggs that look like they on lockdown, like they might turn into little chickens." She thought I was playing. I was for real. She proceeded to put the eggs in the basket and I started thinking, are chickens going through menopause? Because something about this just ain't right. When we got home, starting to put stuff up, my son comes bounding out and says, "Ooh, eggs. Hey, Mom, can you fix me an omelet?" I whipped my head around so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. I told him, "No, sir. At the price of eggs now, this household is on a 1-egg maximum." And he said, "I thought you loved me." I told him I love him to the moon and back, but these eggs, they got a short shelf life.
Focus Black Oklahoma is produced in partnership with KOSU Radio and Tri-City Collective. Additional support is provided by the Commemoration Fund. Our theme music is by Moffett Music. Focus Black Oklahoma's executive producers are Quraish Ali Lantana and Bracken Clark. Our associate producers are Smriti Iyengar and Jesse Ulrich. Our production intern is Gabby Rucker. You can visit us online at kosu.org or focusblackoklahoma.com and on YouTube at Tri-City Collective. You can follow us on Instagram at FocusBlackOK and on Facebook at facebook.com/FocusBlackOK. You can hear Focus Black Oklahoma on demand for free at kosu.org, the NPR app, npr.org, or wherever you get your podcasts.